All right, you want to go ahead, introduce yourself and the role you have with what you're building?
Yes, my name is Brandy G. Robinson. I am the CEO and founder and inventor of Zebra Mednex, and it's a healthcare AI startup platform that takes the patient case management system and flips it on its head. Basically, I take
Nice.
all the noise out of it and put AI in there to, analyze information for both the doctor and the patient to see what's best out there in terms of drug safety, and they have the research right in front of them without having to go to a book or magazine or extra site. It's right there. And I add that value in there because a lot of times doctors don't have the time to look up research. And a lot of times patients don't even know what the research is on that medication they're taking. So that's basically what my platform is a basic platform that adds research into the mix, but it doesn't do any decision making or analyzes any, complex, you know, uh, data, in terms
Uh-huh.
of patient data. It's not a medical device. It's just really an electronic health record system infused with AI and research. That's it.
Nice. And so what are some of the struggles you're having right now in trying to build out the business?
I think it's really the basic struggles of, most startups getting, the initial set of customers and good customers. You just don't want any customer. You want customers that can actually use it and have, value,
Mhm.
use it for the value of what it is. And that's the first step, getting, a great list of customers and partnerships where I can actually expand from there. Because eventually I want the platform to be something that is a medical device that can eventually scan medical records and a host of images out there, and that is an actual medical device at that point. And so if I can just get it, my partnerships established with major healthcare organizations, and also get customers that see value in it. And what I originally thought would be best for doctors in our pilot testing, I actually realized that this can be really good for clinical researchers, alternative medicine providers. So it's not just in the traditional medical sense. It can be used in a host of healthcare, providers settings and clinical research, because it's like I said, it's a electronic healthcare or health record system infused with AI and research. So clinical researchers have everything at their tips without having to go outside of that, platform.
Yeah. And so finding customers is always a pain point. And how are you going about being able to find these customers?
I'm doing it organically. A lot of people have tapped me to do email marketing, and I tried that. Actually, email marketing is very difficult
Uh-huh.
because if you can get a person to first click on the email, number one, so
Yeah.
you know that's the first thing that is to get them to click on the email if it actually didn't bounce back, and then convert that click into an actual sale, and that requires following up. And a lot of times doctors and organizations don't have the time. And then also you have organizations that are tied to contracts with other big electronic healthcare record providers.
Uh-huh.
So they're kind of stuck in some ways, and that's where my product comes in. It's not to replace the big systems that they're that is built on billing. A lot of the healthcare record systems is really built around the billing model. So they code, they update, the patient status, why they're coming in today, and it's all to justify to the insurer why they are paying for that service that the
Uh-huh.
doctor just rendered. But mine is not to replace that. I actually removed the billing from it because the billing was a lot of noise that a lot of doctors told me that they just really didn't have time in their practice to do that. And they wish they just didn't have that element within the healthcare record system, because that took away a lot of the time they wanted to really do the charting and the updates for the patients.
Uh-huh.
So mine is just a supplement. It supplements the huge systems that they already have, and that's where I say the partnerships come into play. If I can partner with one of those big health care record systems, they actually could have value added into their services by having that extra tool integrated into their system, because most of their systems are just charts. No patient really gets value from logging onto a portal other than checking test results or to send a quick message to the doctor and their staff. That's
Uh,
it. That's the only two benefits they get. The benefit really is on the provider end because they get to bill back to the insurance provider and show through coding and bills as well as visits through that record system why they need to be paid. That's the biggest benefit of that. And so that's why I say my platform actually provides more value because you have the research at hand. Even in my personal patient journey, I was on medication many moons ago, had side effects, doctors didn't believe me, and then I was taken off the medication. Fast forward years later, I had uh, a brain tumor diagnosis, benign brain tumor
oh,
diagnosis,
geez.
tied to that same medication. And so the doctor that diagnosed me with that brain tumor said there was medication back then when I was taking it, research back then when I was taking it on this medication, linking to this unique type of tumor. And so if it wasn't for that particular doctor telling me this, I probably would have went on the rest, for the rest of those years, um, thinking that it was something else. And
Yeah.
so when I put the two together, I was like, wow, it was there, but the problem was that it was behind paywalls.
Uh,
So when you look at the research out there, there's journals. You have to sign up and pay for these journals to actually get the information. And so that's where my platform comes in. It's no longer behind paywalls. I open that up and allow the doctor to do a simple search or, scan of the medication that the patient's on, and it pops up with possible side effects and interactions. And so they, on their end, make the decision whether they want to, continue that, patient on that medication if the patient, complains of similar side effects. And on the other end, the patient also gets the same view of that information. They can do the same search.
wow, that sounds pretty awesome for a solution.
Yeah, yeah, because it has to be in front of you. It's a collaborative thing. I've learned through the doctor-patient relationship it takes both the doctor and patient to really collaborate when it comes to treatment. And
Yeah.
so I also added into the platform clinical research listings because my unique type of tumor, it's not, something that has a treatment out there other than medication.
Uh,
And so there are clinical trials out there for very unique situations. And so I wanted to make sure that regardless if, a person has a condition like mine or not, or just a general ailment, that there are clinical research listings where the patient can, take ownership and, find information and go back to her or his doctor and discuss with the doctor those potential, trials and see if that's suitable for them. And so it arms the patient as well as the doctor with more information to, provide better treatment options and not just one linear path, which may be medication for most of us like me, but there could be other treatments out there could be just equally effective.
uh, okay. No, that's pretty interesting being able to provide these solutions where people and medical professionals are able to sift through all the noise. Because I know right now what probably, or I see even happen in the office is you got the sales, sales representative goes in with the possible medical or medicine solution, and it's like, okay, get your team together. I want to present this, and they do it. They get a free lunch, and if they like it, that's the one that they use for whatever ailment that might be going on. And it's not a lot of research effort put into it because of all the other things they got going on. Um, so I could see that as being a great solution for both provider and client.
Yes. Yeah, and that's one of the things, that, I really took a look at when I designed and created the entire platform. Like I just didn't one night decide, oh, this is what I think should be in it. I actually surveyed doctors and other patients because I'm part of the brain tumor community. So I talk to a lot of brain tumor patients, and
Hmm.
some of the same stuff that I've experienced, they experienced in terms of care and knowledge. They want to be armed with knowledge to best make their decisions, with the doctor. And so one thing I've learned through the brain tumor community is that a lot of the brain tumors could be actually treated or solved or cured if there was more research, and tissue samples are really huge.
Uh,
So one of the things that are, uh, that is a gap in the community is that there are tissue banks out there and facilities that after brain tumor patient has surgery, they actually, some most folks authorizing to save a tissue sample. So there's
uh,
tissue samples sitting all around the
oh,
world,
wow.
even in the U.S., and no one knows who has what, and there's no law to mandate them disclosing that. So on my platform, I actually created a collaboration platform, which is like, just a discussion platform where
Uh,
doctors can actually share information. If they need help on treatments, if they, know a colleague that may have this information, they can help each other. And it's a private forum. As long as you're on that platform, you can discuss treatment in a confidential way. But the patient doesn't always have that access as well. So it's only for the doctors on that end because we want to make sure the doctors have a safe space to talk about, treatment when they're stuck. Because if it wasn't for my doctor who was well versed in that, because he actually researched that many years prior to me coming to him, because he had
uh,
one other patient like that, I he wouldn't have known that. So he would have to really do some digging, and then some doctors don't do that, that digging like he has.
yeah.
So, and that's why I put that collaboration tool out there, and I also put telemedicine tools in there too to make it where you don't have to pay an arm and a leg to, do the telemedicine because a lot of these electronic healthcare record systems add the value onto those systems by adding telemedicine. But as I spoke to some doctors, they've paid a lot of money just to have a video conferencing there. So I added that in there with no extra cost. And so that way, if they want to talk to a patient, want to talk to a colleague, anyone, they can, create a conference and video chat uh, like a regular meeting. And AI actually can transcribe that meeting for them as well. So I've kind of, created a nice happy medium for all the concerns that some of the doctors have, especially running private practices. They've told me they've, paid 10,000 just to set up, the server,
Uh,
and then 1,200 just for one user a month.
yeah.
So that's a lot. And so I made it very minimalistically, so that way um, I cut all the noise out and give it a good solid starting point. And I have different packages where it goes from a solo user to enterprise all the way up to enterprise, and it depends on how many users you want a month, but it's very affordable. And and this was based on feedback, and
Uh,
that's why I say I just need my first customers, and I need the right partnerships. If I can get the right partnerships, like I said, to get a big electronic record provider to see value in my platform, maybe we can partner to infuse that into their platform as well,
yeah.
because I think that's what they need. That can bring it up a notch.
Wow. Cool. It's good to know. And our final question is, what AI are you using and what are you using it for?
That's proprietary. so so I don't want to give the trade secrets out. That's
Yeah.
a secret sauce.
Well, even for
Um,
yourself, personal, using OpenAI, using note takers or anything.
I actually use all of them
Yeah.
because I'm in the AI field. I'm trying to gauge what works and what doesn't. And some of them are really good, and some of them are just not ready yet. I'm not going to put the names out there because I don't want to, someone to say, "Oh, she said, this is the best." But I will say that the bigger companies who have infused AI, they've done a really good job at making sure AI meshes well with their systems. Um, and they created a trustworthy platform. So
Uh,
I think if people are concerned with AI, go with what you trust, and everybody trusts differently. So some people trust the big guys, the big girls, other ones not so much. So I would say go with your gut feeling, and what works for you may not work for someone else. And because that's been the case for me. A lot of people, say, "Oh, why didn't you do this?" I was like, "Well, that didn't really work for me. This
uh,
is what I'm looking for." So everybody has their own opinion, and I respect that. And you just have to go with what, works for you.
got it. Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time, and that wraps things up.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.